Hi, this is Sally Wood for Be Inspired, and about 2 weeks ago a friend of mine asked if I would replace a zip in his jacket. It's a well-worn jacket, but the zipper has just started not to catch. It's just a little bit worn out. So I managed to find a newer zip and I will show you how it's done.
As you can see, the jacket actually has a popper or a snap either end of the zip. This means that I'm going to have to use a shorter zip to replace the one I'm taking out, as I don't want to have to mess with these poppers and remove them. The first thing I need to do is remove the existing zip. I have a feeling that the zip actually goes all the way under the second row of stitching, so I'm going to have to decide what I'm going to do about that. And I'm actually going to unpick from the wrong side. This is a little bit time consuming to do both sides of the jacket front. As I'm pulling that apart, it's not coming apart, so I see. I've still got 2 rows of stitching to undo, but the side of the zip actually pops in there, so that makes it a lot easier. I'm going to just undo stitches that are holding the zip in place on this green fabric. Just be careful not to slice through anything. So if I put my seam ripper there and just push down gently, it should pull out both sets of those stitches at the same time, like this. I've stopped unpicking just before this part of the popper, so into here. I wasn't so lucky. Some of the zip is actually sewn through on both sides, which is a little bit irritating. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is just trim back the zip at the base to the jacket, just a little way further up. So again, on here, I'm just going to work my way to the top popper like this, and I cannot go any further than there, so I'm going to just cut that as well to the jacket. Being very careful not to cut through the jacket, because that would not be so good. Once the zip is unstitched, just open up the seam where it was and work your way down. So I'm just going to nip out the stitches that are holding this in place, and actually some of it goes through to this second row, and I'm not going to undo that second row because I don't want to have to do too much. I'd much rather have the mend equal on both sides. So all I'm going to do is very carefully cut along where those stitches are, but not through. So there's a little bit of tuftiness there, which will be fine. That will be fine. I'm going to slowly work my way down. Some areas are a little bit more caught in than others, and the top piece of fabric is against the scissors, so it should just pop out without damaging anything too much. So here we go. This second side, which has the flap on it like that, has been a little bit more irritating to do. They sewed both sides here and here on first, and then they top stitched it into place. So I'm having to break through the stitches here all the way through, and carefully, because I don't really want to mess up. The other thing is that it actually goes through to this stitching here, which is the row of stitching that they used to sew this on. So I'm not going to go all the way through. I'm going to work out what I need to do in this case. Every project is different. Now this is the first side that I've taken out. And so I'm going to make sure that it's the same, like that. I'm going to put this to one side for the second side. And I also realize that the green zip is quite a bit longer than the black, and that's because I need it to fit in a specific area. So what I'm going to do is line that up like that, which is where the zip came out of, and line the new zip up to where it's going to go in, which is a little bit like that. And then using this zip on top, I'm just going to slide it over like this, and I should be able to see where the zip gets narrower, and I'm going to zip that up, and that one, and the zip gets a little bit narrower to the end, but not by very much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim back from here just off this edge here, so when it goes in, it should go in perfectly like that. Just, it's not even, it's like 1/8 of an inch. This goes into the double sewn seam. So having done that, I'm going to slide my new zip into place like this, and I'm going to pin it so it cannot move, or should not move. I'm going to pin all the way through both sides, and as I go up and pin, I'm going to pull out any loose threads because I don't want those being in there. Makes the finished look more untidy. So from the back side, so I'm going to pin it from the back side. So slot that hard in and then pin through to hold it, and then push it hard into the seam there to the join, fold it and pin it again a little way further up, and do this all the way to the top. And we're doing this to this side first so we can measure it off on the other side. Now when you get to the top, what I'm going to do is fold, you can't really see very easily, but I'm going to just fold that under like that, and I'm going to snip back this little piece here like this so it's in line with the side of the zip. I'm going to just poke that in there. It's a little bit close to here, but I think as I sew it up it might alter, so I'm just going to leave that for now and pin that one into place as well. I'm going to sew this one into place and then work out what I need to do for the other side. I'll do one side at a time. I'm going to move the zip up, and I'm thinking I'm going to have to change this foot to the zipper foot. When I slot this zip underneath the foot, it's not going to go quite where I want it because of the back of the foot, so I'm going to bring it forward, push the zip hard in and slot it down. It's not the easiest way, but it's going to have to work. And then I'm just going to stitch as closely as I can on the original sew line, which I can see there. Continually pushing the zip in hard into the seam that I didn't pull it open. Removing the pins as I go along. This means both sides of the coat are in line with each other. If my sewing kind of wavers a little bit, I'm not going to worry about that. It's a little bit difficult doing it this way. As I say, just keep butting it in. And where I've come to where the zip is here, I'm going to pop the foot down, pick up the foot and slide that one past where the foot is. Return the foot down, turn the pins, move the pins and carry on sewing. The zip where I cut it back is not going to fray out. It should be fine because there's at least that much underneath. And as I come to the top, I'm actually going to unpin this as well. So if it has to move, I can move it. but I'm thinking that it's just going to slot in nicely. Now that I've got the pins out, it's been able to move where it needs to move to. So let's see what we can do. And as I get to the top, I'm hoping that I can go forward and back where this piece of the zip folds under. There we are, there's one. And there we are, I've got it. I'm just going to check that I've got it on both sides. And there it is. And now for the bottom, I'm going to work from the top of the jacket down and do the same thing. So I'm going to pop that down there. This little area here is not in, so I'm just going to sew on down till it's held in place like this, and again forward and back, and that is one side of the zip in. I'm going to start at the top, and again I'm going to cut it out, but on this one I need to cut all of it out because it goes under this seam here. So when I cut out, I'll be able to see how wide I need my zip. Just make sure everything's held out of the way before you start. So I'm going to just snip along here because I know that has to come out. And then, so this little piece doesn't need to be trimmed, but it should be all the way up. All the way up, just like before. So fold this piece down, the front up, and just carry on snipping. Alright, at the top I'm just going to cut down rather than mess with everything here. So long as it's cut really close, oops a daisy, to the existing thing, it shouldn't show. I might trim that back again in a minute just to make sure it's tighter. I've got some smaller scissors somewhere that will do the job. So there we are. Now what I've got to do is remove the stitching like I did on the other side. As before, I'm going to trim back parts of the new zip so that it all fits in. It's about 1/8 of an inch to 1 millimeter. And this is so that when it goes in, it's equal to the other side. So here we go. Get rid of that. This is the new side for the zip to go in. I'm going to line the bottom of the jacket to the bottom of the jacket like this. And I'm slotting the new zip into the channel that the other one's just come out of, and I am going to pin it into place like before. And I'm going to work from the bottom of the zip up. Just makes it a little bit easier. So here we go. Pop it in and work our way up again. And when you get to the top, fold the zip under like that, so it'll go in that way, then trim back the excess like you did before, and then we'll just slot that in for now. So as I sew it in, it's going to walk slightly, but I'll get to the top end and do it separately, I think. Because I don't want to run the risk of catching this flap anywhere, I'm going to start at the bottom with the blue on top, and I'm hoping that it's not going to knock everything out of place, because a zipper foot hasn't got the whole width to work with. I'm going to pop the zip, push it really hard into that groove, pop the zipper foot down and sew forward and then back. And then as I work my way up, as before, I'm going to take some of those stitches out if they're still in there, like that. Just make sure they're gone on both sides. Push the zip hard in like you did before, and carry on sewing all the way to the top. And try to keep your sewing, as I said before, right on the edge where the original sewing was done. Alright, I've managed to sew both sides in. I'm going to just double check that everything works. So I'm going to slide that in, oops, like that. And oops, there we go. And you'll see that this is even all the way to the top. It's even up there too. So I've done a pretty good job this time. It's just practice, and if you feel you want to start a little way ahead like you did on the other side, do so, and then just go back over it. It will be fine either way. I'll pop that together.
Thank you for joining me today. I hope that you found this video informative. We've actually managed to keep one jacket out of the landfill and just throw away the zip. So I think the gentleman is going to be very pleased with this. Please subscribe, hit the bell button if you want to see more from me. A few thumbs up would be really good, then I know how well I'm doing. So see you later, take care, ciao!
I have Bad Cat with me today. Every time I put him on the floor, he gets back up, which is very annoying, but anyway.